This is what we do every week, helping people out, diving a little bit deeper in that, talking about clearing, cleansing some of those things from your bodies, from your energy.
This is more my space. So Zac's more real estate space. I'm more in the energetics and so.
And you should listen to her because she's real freaking smart when it comes to these things.
He is like the happiest, most positive person that I know. So much so I'm like, is this real? Like, but it is.
I'm an expert in creative finance, love creative finance, talk to States off about that and all the wonderful things with that, mindset, and raising private capital.
I'm an energy healer. I teach intuitive development and spiritual mentor, and I help people learn about themselves and how to use their energy and the energy around them to create realities that they really enjoy and want.
Whatever comes up for you guys. That's the point. That's the beauty of you guys showing up here live for everything, is that we want to answer your questions. We want to dive deeper into your examples. We want to help you specifically. All right, everyone. Happy Monday.
Hello.
Here we go. Comments in the house. Aubrey.
Oh,
hey,
Aubrey.
Grateful to have you here too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. I'm Zac. This is Monique. We're doing our energetic alignment and mindset. If you don't know what some of those words mean, that's okay. Neither did I in the beginning of everything. But no, it's really fun stuff every week. We're always here, so we're doing a little bit more just to help everyone with their mindset, with their energetic alignment. The fact that energy is all around us and we can access that for our own benefit is something, because it's going to happen to you regardless. So let's be aware of these things and let's make awesomeness happen in our life. So that idea, that energetic alignment, what is that exactly? What is that? Summarize. It's when our mind, our body, and our spirit, they all sync up. They all sync up together and we feel just completely aligned with our lives. Things are just happening. They're happening with ease at that point because it's the path of least resistance. You're going downstream. You're letting the world take you, and it happens to be exactly where you want to go at the same time. It's your personalized stream to the awesome land. So we always say energy before action because we want to make sure that we're syncing up our brain towards that goal that we're trying to achieve in the end, so that we can point and aim exactly where we want us to go. So without that energy thought before everything, we're going to be moving through this clouded lens that we might have. And so it might take us down the wrong path. And we end up in a really weird page of the Choose Your Own Adventure book where you end up falling off a cliff and getting eaten by a monster or something like that. Hey, Charles. Heck yeah. To the awesome land. Yeah. Right on, Aubrey. And so, yeah, this is exactly how a great way to interact with us is just comment. Again, just anywhere that you are watching right now, comment, and we'll definitely be watching and responding to all that. And if it's a great one, we'll put it up here as well. Right? Yeah. So tons of fun. We're going to have a good one today, right? Today, it's going to be all about this thing that a lot of us deal with all the time. I won't say all of us, but I'm going to say the vast majority of us are always dealing with that. And what is that, honey?
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. What is that? It's this thing where you just, you feel like you're an imposter. And it's a legitimate feeling. It's a valid feeling. We all have had that. I've felt that. She's felt that. And it's something that happens when you're dealing with growth that's in your life. Because if you're just sitting there doing nothing, same old thing day in, day out, you're probably not thinking an imposter syndrome type of mindset. So it's something that is from all of that. And we're going to give you some cool ways to overcome that, be aware of that, and just, work with that in life. And actually a way that, it doesn't even have to show up anymore. So we're going to do a few fun things like that. And then we're going to get you out of here. Yeah, happy Monday, so that you can have a wonderful rest of your week, starting out well, or what? That's it. That's your only option. That's all we're going to give you. So Yeah, if you want to drop a little hello into the chat, if you want to say get going, that's cool. If you say that you don't deal with imposter syndrome at all, you can say that as well. And I might try and pull you up here and figure out why, because we all do. We all are having this issue. So yeah, just remember, put your comments in here and speak with us. And yeah, hey, Angel. Great to see you. Oh, Jinx, you owe me a Coke. Something.
We don't drink pop.
Yeah, well, a bubbly water, something like that. Yeah, so awesome. Really awesome. Yeah. So do any of you guys just, in the comments, do you ever deal with imposter syndrome though? Heck yeah. I missed you too, Angel. We both did. But yeah, so drop a yes or no if you've dealt with this in the past. If you're watching this afterwards too, feel free to interact. We'll interact with you then too. We love it. But yeah, it's this notion of being an imposter. Oh, I shouldn't be here, right? What else comes up with that whole thing?
Well, let's talk about like why it shows up.
Well, what is it though? Let's make sure that we clearly define how it shows up, what we notice about it, how we can identify it. Because a lot of what we tend to do is first figuring out that it exists, right? Because if we don't accept that this thing is here, then we're going to pretend like it doesn't exist, and then you're not going to deal with that. And how does that work for things that go bad in your life?
Yeah. So what happens with imposter syndrome is it's essentially feeling a lot of self-doubt and having beliefs around doubting yourself, not believing in yourself, not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, which then equate to feeling like a fraud. And all of this shows up because of what everything is a result of childhood conditioning. And there are many, many different ways and reasons that this presents itself in our life. But essentially, imposter syndrome shows up when we are expanding into more. So we're expanding out of our comfort zone. We're moving out of that area that we've been operating in safely. And we've recognized that I want more than this. I want more success. I want more love. I want more. I want to feel better in my body. I just want a more fulfilling life experience. And that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
But then when we start to move in that direction, what can happen is that little voice in the back of our head can start spewing out just BS beliefs around, well, you're not good enough. Who do you think you are to go after this? So-and-so is better. This is where comparisonitis comes from, is feeling like an imposter. And just really equating where you're at in life to where everyone else is around you, why you don't have the things you have yet, why it doesn't even make sense for you to move towards the things that you want. And essentially, when that voice pops up telling us that we're an imposter, telling us we're a fraud, telling us that we might as well just sit down and shut up, it is showing up because it's trying to protect us. It is a form of protection.
Yep.
But it's a form of protection that none of us really need anymore. When we were a kid, it may have helped us because it stopped us from doing things that we didn't know how to do, or from moving into situations that maybe we didn't really know how to navigate. But now as adults, and as we find ourselves expanding into more, growing into more, wanting more out of life, that's where this thought, this belief pattern can become a nuisance. Right. And then we can start to feel like an imposter. And then what happens when we start to feel like an imposter? Then we start self-sabotaging, we start procrastinating, we start feeling like there's no point in moving forward in this. Maybe we get very passionate, so we never actually follow anything through. And we use that as like a cop-out. We look for perfectionist tendencies. Well, this isn't perfect, then I don't need to do it. So that we feel like an imposter if we're not perfect. I know I've personally dealt with that one.
Yep. Fair.
Yeah. But it just comes down to childhood conditioning and childhood trauma that is just lying dormant in the body. And we all experience this. And because We are energetic beings, and our thoughts and our emotions are energy. When that energy doesn't have an outlet, it just stays circulating in your field. And so if you're experiencing a lot of imposter syndrome, there's a lot of that repressed energy that just hasn't had a chance to be expressed and moved out of the field. So it's just hanging out saying, hey, remember me? Hey, I'm still here, right? Let me know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Without clearing that up, that's just going to create some issues in your life with everything that you're trying to do, because you'll end up putting stories to try and make sense of that at the end of the day.
And the thing is it's not just it's not just siloed into like profession, like
Right.
professional imposter syndrome
No.
or on the success ladder. We experience imposter syndrome when we go to the gym and we start comparing ourselves to other people, or we start telling ourselves, who am I to do this? Like, I'm not the type of person that X, Y, and Z.
Fill
That's
in the
imposter
blank.
syndrome.
Yeah, driving around
Right?
looking at other people in other neighborhoods, like, right? Like, oh, that's not me.
Or going out on dates and saying, I'm not good enough for this person, or I'm not good enough to be here, or what does this person really see in me? And questioning our worth, questioning our value. And so although we experience it a lot in our career with our like professional uprising,
Especially entrepreneurs,
yeah,
I'd say.
especially entrepreneurs, yeah,
Especially us
definitely.
guys. That's us here, and that's probably a ton of you guys too.
Yeah, but we also experience it in every other area of life. And it's the same monster showing up with a different mask on. It just depending on the area that it's showing up. So we can address it by telling ourselves, no, this I'm going to get this job. I'm meant for this job. This job is meant for me. Like, if it's meant to be, then I'm going to get it. Or I'm worthy of going on this date. And we can tell ourselves that all day long. But if we're just picking off prickers off of a rose bush, the prickers are always going to grow back. We need to get to the root
Interesting.
of the cause.
Right. That's a nice analogy. Yeah, sure. But it is prickly, and it's still there. And yeah, if you don't deal with it, that's fine. So to Angel, don't worry. Same boat, we're right here. And that's why we're doing this, is because, yeah, we all are dealing with this. Well, not all of us, right? Not all of us actually deal with imposter syndrome at the end of the day. If you're an ignorant narcissist who doesn't care about
Narcissists don't deal
anything,
with imposter
and
syndrome.
you're not gonna, because they're just gonna charge forward. They think that they already know everything and that they're awesome, so they're gonna charge forward. So if you're not dealing with this, you may be a narcissist at the end of the day. But the thing is, the people who deal with this the most are actually the most trustworthy people.
Mm-hmm.
Trustworthy people deal with this problem the absolute most, because trustworthy people think, oh no, I'm not telling, like, they're going to trust me that I'm saying these things, but I haven't even proven this to the world, to myself, to every single person. Because someone who's the most trustworthy is going to want that energy that they're trying to put out there in that new thing that they're doing, whatever that thing is. They're going to want to already have shown that to other people. And they're going to want to make sure that they can back up their word 100% of the time. Well, if they haven't done that already, well then, how can they say that to themselves? So, that's where trustworthy people deal with this the most. So if you're feeling this, you can say, okay, maybe I'm a trustworthy person, and at least feel a little better about that, and just understand where to pivot from there.
Yeah. And also, it just means you care. You
Yeah.
care a lot. Like, you don't want an overinflated sense of self, because you care about how you make other people feel. You care about your contribution. And so this is all just a sign that, yeah, you care. And yes, you have a big heart, right? And you don't want this overinflated sense of self. However, to those people that experience imposter syndrome, sometimes we have too much humility and we're a little too humble, and we need a more inflated sense of self. But this is where the early childhood conditioning and the childhood trauma comes up, because if when you were a kid and you put yourself out there, or you wanted to try something or like explore something, something new, or you really were passionate about something and your parents didn't give you the time of day, you were shut down, maybe friends made fun of you, you learned that me being me is not safe.
Yeah.
That my sense of self is not good, that something is wrong within me, something is innately wrong. And it's all bullshit, because it's not true.
Yeah.
It's just your parents were busy. They weren't paying attention. Maybe they didn't have the emotional capacity to hold space for you. They didn't have the understanding of what kids actually need. A lot of parents don't. They're doing the best they could with what they had. They themselves are traumatized. Your friends are just at that age, they're showing up how their parents are teaching them to show up. And everybody is just operating through insecurities.
Yeah.
But we're projecting them onto each other.
So that we don't feel insecure, because if we project that onto them, then makes them feel more insecure about that, then we don't feel as bad. We can push them down, then we're going to feel less impostery. Now we're better than you because we pushed you down. So at least there's one person I'm comparing to, and I'm a little better than that person. So that's that bullying type of thing that'll happen in the subconscious as a child. And so a lot of this is childhood trauma things that we deal with. And it's just being aware of it. And then how many ways can we overcome this as an adult? Because we got stuff to do and we can't deal with all this stuff that's clouding us in the way.
But it's important to know that like everybody deals with this. And I just had this realization just the other day, because I have this very distinct memory when I was in like, it was like maybe 6th grade health class, 6th or 7th grade health class, whatever year we had health class before high school. Because we didn't have health every year. Oh, sorry. So I think it was like 6th grade health class. And I'm being very serious when I say this. I've never told this story before, but I heard on the radio, or I heard it on the radio. I think this was when radio was big. 6th grade, it was like 2002. So like iPods weren't really a thing yet. Podcasts weren't a thing yet. So it was just radio. And I heard on the radio that Paris Hilton, this was when she was really popular, that Paris Hilton, she like was interviewed saying that she like eats her boogers. And, but then like people, whoever reported it, they also then reported a fact that some researchers argue that eating your boogers is good for you, right? So I was a very inquisitive kid, and I heard that and I was like, wow, this is so interesting. So in health class, for some reason, like personal hygiene got brought up, like boogers were getting brought up. And I brought up like, I heard on the radio that eating your boogers can be good for you. And my teacher, she made like the snarkiest, like most smart alecky response like, oh, everybody, Monique eats her boogers. And like, as a 6th grade kid, that's traumatizing, right? Like you're getting called out in front of the entire class. And I loved health class, and you're getting called out in front of the entire class. And this teacher is like projecting something onto me that at that time I had no, like, I'm just regurgitating what I heard. I was like 12 years old at the time. And so I say this, and then she like made that comment. I wanted to die. I was like, this is so embarrassing, because then it's like, regardless of what the other kids thought, the fact was that this teacher that I look up to in this moment, I respect in this moment, they are my safe haven as a 12-year-old in this moment of this health class. They're now like making fun of me. And how many of our teachers made comments like that, or called us out, or other people in the class called them out like that, or like went on power trips. And I just had this realization, like, teachers are teaching through their insecurities. Like, it must be really hard teaching a classroom full of kids that are they talk back, they're smart alecky, they're learning things about themselves, they have weird conversations about things, they're probably saying things to teachers. His mom was a teacher, and she was telling me some of the stories when they were visiting last weekend. She was telling me some of the stories of things that she would have to experience with students when she was in the classroom. And so it just made me think like, wow, like teachers really, they're teaching through a bunch of their insecurities. And sometimes when a kid gives them like an open door to kind of position themselves as an authority or like as like the man or woman, they're going to take it, right? Because in a classroom full of 30-ish kids where they're constantly the ones probably feeling like a punching bag, now they have an opportunity to be the one hitting the punching bag, right? And it made me think, because the like little things like that, they help frame our mindset about ourselves. So then how many, like for me, that didn't stop me from speaking up because I was just like someone
That's
who
just
liked to speak up.
Who you are.
Yeah. But think about the kid that comment would debilitate them to ever speak up again.
Mhm.
Or someone says something to you and it just completely makes you go blank. And now you question everything about how you show up, what you say, what you wear, how you look, et cetera, et cetera. This happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. I guarantee if I asked you to think of a moment where something like that happened, I give you 2 minutes, you'll be able to think of at least one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I can tell you that, I mean, it just made me very hesitant to speak up. I just know that I've got this voice in me that's, if I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, I should just stay quiet. Just be quiet.
That fear of being wrong or being made fun of.
Yeah. Yeah. And how terrible is it? Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen if I say something that isn't perfectly right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Oh no, my ego is so bruised and so brittle that it's gonna do that.
Yeah, and this is something though, and that's where
I feel that way.
Yeah, that's where some imposter syndrome comes from. And it's not having that safe space to express ourselves freely. So we doubt ourselves. But all of us, we can probably go back to 1 or 2 significant moments at least where we've doubted ourselves, where we thought we were so sure of something and then something just came back and it like hit us like a ton of bricks. Those moments define how much you believe in yourself. Those moments define how worthy you feel, how good enough you feel as you, as a person. And I think this is why it's so important to really, we don't just want to take the prickers off and address it as it comes up like, oh no, I got this. Because it's just going to show up again and again and again until we deal with that root cause. And that root cause is probably something that's completely unrelated to what you're experiencing right now, but it's something that was so significant to you at a time in your life, or it was a series of events that happened that felt very similar to you at a time in your life that kind of helped you remember that you should be doubting yourself, that it's not safe for you to trust yourself, that it's not safe for you to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's just the projection of someone's insecurities or the lack of emotional capacity to hold space for you when you're a kid and I'm the parent or I'm the adult, or the lack of emotional intelligence. And it had nothing to do with you in the first place. And when we can understand that it just has nothing to do with us, like other people's opinions of us when we were younger, then we can separate ourselves from it and stop identifying with it.
Yeah, not identifying and being able to separate ourselves from it. That seems so much wonderful, doesn't it, guys? So that's why I would say, let's not suppress all these things that we're dealing with. We know we don't want to do that. So we want to evolve. That's why we're here. That's why we're trying to get a little bit better all the time, is how many ways can we evolve? Because gosh darn it, suppressing doesn't work. Yeah, you might mute it for a hot second, but those things, they're just bubbling underneath, whether it's sadness, whether it's, fear from something, whether it's pain, whether it's, scared, whatever that emotion is. When you suppress it and you just try to push through it, you're really solidifying that original emotion, because you're not clearing anything away. You're just giving it a new space to grow in your subconscious. Awesome, right? How wonderful is that? No, it's crap. So we don't want any of that, right? So we want to evolve past all of that. And that's why we're going to do some fun things and help you do that. That's what we always love doing. How many ways can we do that? First, be aware of these problems, and then we evolve through them with different practices. Just like the gym, got to do a little bit more every day. Otherwise, we'll get less gym-like,
And
right?
this is something too where people, they think, oh, I'll have confidence and I'll believe in myself after I get the result.
Yeah, after, no.
And that is not true. You get confidence and self-belief just by acting on what you want, by going for what you want through taking action. And it's through that course of taking action that you slowly begin to build the self-belief and the confidence and the self-trust, because you're saying to yourself, I'm going to try this regardless. Like, this is just the type of person that I am. And then the confidence comes as a byproduct of you taking the action, regardless if you get the result or not. Okay. And so that's really important to remember, because if we let imposter syndrome prevent us from moving forward and from taking that action, like, who am I to do this? Who do I think I am? This isn't realistic for me. This isn't a possibility for me. Whatever story we're going to tell ourselves, if we allow that to prevent us from moving forward, we're never going to be able to embody the confidence that's needed to get what we want. Right. And that's an energy thing. That's a feeling. We can't touch confidence. We can't touch self-doubt, but we feel it. And we know, is my overall vibration in alignment with self-doubt and fear, or is it in alignment with self-belief and confidence? Okay. Because this is what it is. And it's a struggle for everybody, Angel. It's a struggle. And that's something to understand, is that everyone goes through this.
Except
we're
narcissists.
not alone. Yeah, we're not alone, but our mind will tell us like that we're the only ones experiencing this, that we're pieces of shit because we can't get over this. But that's not true. And we have to understand that everyone experiences this at one point or another, because probably the people that you're surrounding yourself with are also evolving forward, whether it's with dating life, with health, or with their professional life. And as we move into new territory, we're going to experience self-doubt. We're going to experience, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is for me. So growth and evolution, it's partnered with imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that's the number one solution, by the way, how to overcome imposter syndrome. You know what it is?
What?
Never grow.
Oh, yeah.
Just never grow. Never grow. Don't try anything new. Stay where you are, except that where you're at right now is it. This is it. And guess what? You won't feel imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Easy. Number one way. But
Yeah.
I imagine that a lot of you guys don't want to do that, right? In every aspect of your lives, your mind, your body, your bank account, you don't want those things to stay stagnant, because a lot of times if you're stagnant, other things are evolving past you. You know, the world is getting better. Inflation, even thinking about it from a monetary standpoint, inflation means that you cannot stay stagnant or you are going backwards. So you need to constantly be moving forward towards something, especially if you want more out of life and more happiness for the people around you, and more vacations and more time and more freedom and all those things. That's a lot of why we're doing what we're doing right now. So yeah, you're going to want some growth. So, okay, let's embrace the fact that humans deal with imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Done.
And it does not have to be growth and success and imposter syndrome are not mutually exclusive. They happen at the same time.
Yeah.
In order to have growth and success, it does not mean that you never experience imposter syndrome. And I think a lot of people need to hear that, well, I either have one or the other. No, it's not one or the other. It can be an and. It doesn't have to be an or. I can experience imposter syndrome and continue to grow, continue to evolve, continue to move forward towards whatever goal that I have, because I know that duality is a part of the human experience. And the more, I would argue, the more duality you can hold, the more successful you're going to be in any endeavor that you go on, whether it be love, health, or success. And this is because knowing that, okay, I'm going to feel imposter syndrome. I'm going to have days where I feel like I can't do this. I'm going to have days that I question myself. Yes. The point is to accept that part of you, because it is a part of you that feels that way. Hear these words, embody these words. It is a part of you that feels that way. So when we ignore it and we try to push it away and we try to repress it and we just try to go over it with all of these motivational quotes and affirmations and whatever good things we're doing, if we're not accepting that that is a part of us that feels that way, and instead we're ignoring it and we're repressing it and we're trying to push it away, it's just going to get worse. And we're going to feel more disconnected from ourselves because we are ignoring that part of ourselves. Does this make sense? Let me know if that makes sense to you guys, because this is so important. We do this with a ton of emotional experiences that we have, not just imposter syndrome, but shame, fear of failure, embarrassment, guilt, grief, anger. We're really good at doing this with a lot of these emotions. But the point is that there is a part of you experiencing this emotion, having this emotional experience. Okay. So in order for that part of you to calm down, it needs to be acknowledged and accepted for what it is. All right. This is like a toddler. Imagine that it's a toddler, because it is. Imagine that a toddler is screaming in front of you. At first, it's like saying, hey, like whatever your name is, like, hey, Zach. And Zach's just ignoring him. And he's like, Zach. And then he starts bawling his eyes out and screaming. And I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, Zach's not paying attention to me. I want his attention. That's what's happening inside of you. That part of you wants your attention. And if you're not acknowledging it and accepting it, like you were saying, then it's just going to keep getting louder until it starts screaming at you. And that's when it literally feels debilitating, or it starts to manifest as a physical condition, or it starts to manifest as a huge roadblock or a huge self-sabotage. And then we're like, well, crap. This just proved my imposter syndrome right. I'm not cut out for this.
Right. And that's a lot of times what our
self-fulfilling
subconscious does, is it creates those self-fulfilling prophecies. But it's interesting. So we relate it to having a conversation with a smaller version of ourselves. Sure, accept it. But I mean, even in communication between a couple. Right. I know that when we'll get in conflicts with each other, originally she was telling me, I just want you to accept that I have these feelings right now. You know, I don't even necessarily have to agree with them, but the fact is she has those feelings. So for me to tell her that she's not that way, that she should be somewhere else, or feel better. Yeah. Get over that type of thing. No. Whoa. So first thing is just acknowledging it and saying, okay, I accept, I completely understand. I accept that you're feeling that way. That's a very reasonable way to feel right now. So there's nothing wrong with how you're feeling. That's perfectly normal. In fact, we just said that all the normal people are actually feeling imposter syndrome. So you got to tell yourself that that's perfectly normal.
And even let's use that example. Let's use another example with me being emotional and for an example, last November, we were in Arizona and I was not paying attention, and we were walking home. It was really chilly, and I was fascinated by something that I saw, and I wasn't paying attention. He was walking a few steps ahead of me, and I ran right into or some type of pole, a metal pole. I don't even know what it was.
It sounded like metal. A metal,
we heard
in
the
the cartoons. It was a whack.
And I immediately started bawling my eyes out. Zach didn't know what happened. He came over, he stepped back. I removed my hand from my head. I was gushing blood.
Tons of blood.
And so I was freaking out. He was freaking out, but he was keeping it cool in that moment for me. But fast forward, the look on your face, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. I'm like, you're okay, right?
Yeah. It ended up not being a huge deal. What it looked like in the actual scrape were vastly different, what it looked like in the moment. But back at the hotel room, I was bawling my eyes out, and that was making him very uncomfortable because he didn't know how to console me. And he just kept saying, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. We're going to get through this. You're going to be fine. Everything's okay. And eventually I had to stop him, and I'm like, stop. I know I'm going to be fine. I know everything's going to be okay. But right now, I'm not okay. And right now, I just need you to be here for me and let me express this. I just need your presence here with me so I can express this. I know I'm going to get better. I know there's another side to this, but right now this is my experience. And you telling me that is not helping.
And I didn't know any better at the time, right? I'm trying to do the best that I can, triage her, like give her these happy words, like it's okay, we'll get through this, it'll be fine. Let me get the blood, let me get all of that. I was trying to do the best that I could, and I just didn't know better. That's what we're saying about you guys as well, about all of us. When we don't know better.
We don't know better. We're taught that. Like, I'm sure that's how you were taught to deal with conflict and issues. Like, it's okay. We're going to get through this.
Suppress. Let's push it down. It's okay. Look, plant some roses on top of it there. Like, look, smell the roses. It'll be fine.
But then like after that, every single time since then, every time I've had an emotional experience, you're like, okay, what do you need? Like, give me a hug. And then it's fine. And then I can ride my wave and I get it over with. But that's the thing, is like, he has to be okay sitting in that discomfort. And this is what my point is that so many of us are taught to deal with uncomfortable emotional experiences in that way. We do this to ourselves. It's okay. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get over this.
You might even tell yourself that out loud, right? Because I think we're taught that, or we've been modeled that. We've seen that.
Yes. And so what happens throughout that process is we're suppressing the actual experience that our body wants to have. And our body's like, listen, bitch, I know I'm going to be fine, but right now I'm not fine. And I need you to be okay with me not being fine. And sometimes that's what comes up with imposter syndrome, is there's a deeper emotion there, unworthiness, fear, whatever it might be. There's a deeper emotion there that's trying to get your attention. And so if you're just like saying, okay, yeah, I'm just going to ignore this, and I'm just going to keep hustling through, and I'm just going to keep doing and going and going and going, that's great until that voice gets louder and louder. And that voice, it doesn't need you to tell it everything's going to be okay. It doesn't need you to try to just like put your head down and charge forward. It needs you for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, for a half hour, for a day, to just let it be there.
Accept it.
And then let it express itself however it wants to. So it might be, if you've been suppressing a lot of sadness, he might have a day where he just veges out on the TV and watches a sad movie so he can cry, right? I feel like a lot of men, they feel more comfortable crying when they watch TV versus sitting with their feelings. I might, if I'm feeling a lot of frustration around feeling imposter syndrome, I might go and scream into a pillow and then see what's going on with that side of me, right?
Yeah. Here's Angel. Absolutely. Right.
Push it down.
Push it down. Push it down.
Yeah. Put your big girl panties on and move on. Right. We're all taught
Come on, for a guy. I'm a man. I don't have to deal with these sad feelings of I can't do something, whatever. That's not what my gender is, for gosh sakes. Right. Like, whatever. Come on, give me a break. Right. Like, would you tell that? And that's what we always say. Would you tell that to a smaller version of you? Would you say something like that? Probably not. If you were in the right mindset of the day, as long as you didn't have craziness going on, you could collect your thoughts. Yeah, you probably wouldn't say this. So don't say that to yourself, right? But if we don't know what to say, then we're just going to revert to what we've been modeled and what we've seen and what we've dealt through, and just like, okay, yeah, let's push through this thing. That's not going to help us. And
a lot of times I want to say, like, it's almost less about what you tell yourself and more about just being there for yourself, like letting yourself have that experience. And this is going back, creating the full circle back to the duality, is that we have to be able to have that fear, that sadness, that frustration, that anger that's underlying that imposter syndrome, that self-doubt. We have to be able to acknowledge that, know that it's there, and also be able to hold the frequency of, it's okay that I'm experiencing this. I accept this. I can hold space for myself right now. Yeah. And holding space for yourself is just letting this part of you, and I keep referring to this part of you because it's not the whole of you that's experiencing this, because there's another part of you that's recognizing this is going on.
It's
okay?
recognizing it, wants to move past that
Yes.
thing. But like we've said in, I don't even know how many episodes ago, it feels like forever, but we've said when you're in one of these triggered types of states, you cannot use words. You cannot use affirmations.
Yeah, you cannot.
It's the wrong way about it. You're just going to solidify that thing because you're not
Yes.
addressing it.
And because it's emotional and words and thoughts are cognitive. And we
Yeah.
cannot use our thinking and logic to get out of an emotional experience. Emotion is not logical.
Yeah. These are all, man, these are like things that are ingrained in us as human beings, yet we're going to continually try to take these other
Yes.
tactics to do that. And it's just not going to work. You know, there is a great time for affirmations, but it's not
It's
when
not
you're in
then.
that state.
Yeah, we
Not at
can't
all.
affirm ourselves out of like a lower vibrating state that we're in. And also notice that like there's no such thing as good or bad emotions or experiences. It's just higher vibrating, lower vibrating, in alignment, out of alignment, of service to you in this moment, out of service, not in of service to you in this moment.
And I just want to pop in and just underscore that, guys, because you know, I am not even quite there in my mindset yet, because I will use terms like, oh, I want to fix myself, and then I'll catch myself, whoa, I don't need to be fixed, right? Or I want to be better, or like good, as opposed to this thing is bad. Just putting those types of labels on them, those are just words that we make as humans, number one, yet there's a whole lot of emotion that's associated with those words. So don't do that, because good and bad and fix, those don't come from places of accepting
and self-love.
and self-love. And so absolutely, oh yeah, I get goosebumps when I think about that, because it's a much higher vibrating energy to just go through that self-love and to be like, okay, this is okay that I feel this way, but like now what do I do, right? Because so we've kind of brought everyone to this state of, okay, problem exists, and we understand the problem exists, to the point of like, okay, acknowledging and accepting and sitting in what we have to do for the moment. And then we just want to do the thing though. So how do we do the thing? Right?
Yeah. So to get past imposter syndrome and to address it is, one, to accept it, right? Accept it's going to happen. As long as you are growing and evolving, it is going to be a part of your life. So instead of fearing it, get cozy with it, befriend it, because it's going to show up. As you build more self-belief and more confidence, it won't be as loud, but you're still going to have those moments of, can I really do this? Is this really for me to pursue? Am I capable of this? Because you're stretching yourself. So that's a good sign. So celebrate that it's there, accept that it's there, right? So that's step one. Step two, also understanding everybody else experiences it. Okay. Everybody else is also on this journey with you. You are not in a silo alone. I understand that most of us hear these words and are like, okay, yeah, I get that. But there is a part of all of us that believes that we are alone on this boat.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking to that part of you.
Yeah. So it's real important. I mean, even just having some of these things on the wall, so that like, as you got training wheels before you learn to ride a bicycle, right? These things aren't as prevalent in your mind. So having them right on the wall will help you be like, okay, I accept that now, right? And everyone else had, yeah, that's true, but no buts. No buts in your mind. Everyone experiences this, unless you're a narcissist. So that's just something. So then it's okay. So then it's like, okay, so now we're on an even playing field, right?
Yes.
Because everyone is right there.
Because we tend to also, when we experience imposter syndrome, we'll pedestal other people.
Oh gosh.
Like they're
Yeah,
experiencing it
that's
too.
it.
So yeah, so bringing them down on the level playing field. If they can do it, you can do it. They got there. I guarantee that they had imposter syndrome. And this leads me to a next step, which is ask other people vulnerable questions to remind yourself you're not alone. So get in conversations with people. Ask them, like, what was the moment that you doubted yourself? When did you think this wasn't going to work out, but you persevered? Like, is there a time where you didn't know if you were going to be successful, where you didn't know if this were going to work out? Ask people vulnerable questions. So again, it adds that other element of, wow, I'm connecting with this person. They're experiencing this too, versus I'm comparing myself to this person.
Yeah,
I'm
so
separate from them.
that's awesome. And that's also another awesome way of getting over these types of things is if you don't have to be the authority on every little thing in the world. Like we've got lots of people that are on these podcasts and everything. I mean, lots of people, I guess right here. But so one of the ways of doing that, instead of saying that I know how to do X, Y, Z, everything like that, just interview other people. Let them be the expert. You can ask those questions. And then at that point, now you can just restate some facts that someone else is saying. So you don't have to seem like, you have all the information. It doesn't have to come from you originally. It can be their voice and just say, this person gave this fact. This is just a fact. Or you just read a book and you're like, hey, this is the information that I got from the book. You don't have to interject these types of things. So another way of surrounding yourself with people like that is just to have other people around you, right? Have other people around you that you're doing this thing with so that it doesn't have to be just you at the end of the day. That's going to help out a lot.
Yeah, will help diffuse that emotional charge behind it as well. Because if you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are working towards their goals that are also experiencing it, you're like, wow, I'm not alone in this. And like, it's actually not that big of a deal. So we take the imposter syndrome off of a pedestal and we stop making it mean something that it's not. And we're just like, okay, this really isn't that big of a deal. And it is just a part of me that needs some extra TLC. So I'm going to give myself that and I'm going to keep moving forward, which brings us to the next point of how to overcome it. And that is recognizing that imposter syndrome is an invitation to really double down on yourself and understand yourself at a deeper level. What does this part of you need? What does this part of you need right now to feel more loved, to feel more confident, to feel more like they're worthy, right? And so when we can start to engage with ourselves, then we can go a little bit deeper and ask. This is where we would like go into more of like a regulation state. And we would ask ourselves, we'd regulate our nervous system.
Okay.
So if we're feeling worked up and we're feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I don't know, blah, blah, blah,
or
blah.
anxious, whatever that worked up feeling could be. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then we can, this is a practice in regulating your nervous system. So when we're feeling worked up, then we just connect back to that part. So we connect with that part that's feeling anxious or whatever they're feeling. We align ourselves to our present environment. And then we just ask, okay, we identify the feeling. I'm feeling blank right now. What does this part need right now? And you might feel like you need to cry. You might feel like you need to go for a walk, like you want to scream. You might feel like you just need an I love you or a hug. And then we practice providing that to ourselves. And then as we do that, it builds self-trust, it builds self-love, it builds self-belief, which the more we have of those, the less we have of self-doubt, and the less we have feeling like a fraud, the less we have of feeling unworthy. All right. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. And
could it help to have someone else like also have an accountability type of person, or like you could be my accountability person?
That would be the next step, which would be asking ourselves questions and getting like a little inquisitive with ourselves.
Okay.
Because we want to feel. So first, when we ask like, what do I need? Sometimes we need to feel something. Okay. So we can ask, what do I need? And then that next part would be getting inquisitive with ourselves and getting curious of what are the beliefs that I actually hold about myself? What do I actually believe is possible for me?
Yeah.
Do I believe that I am worthy of having what I desire in life?
These are questions that I don't know about you guys listening, watching, but I mean, I don't ask myself enough.
Yeah, I don't think really a lot of us do. But when we can ask ourselves these questions, and the secret is answering immediately. Don't think about it too much. And this is where it can be helpful to have someone else ask us these questions.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, because I know that I would probably want to overthink it and be like, I'm going to even put off answering all these questions until whatever day that I don't have stuff to do, so I can take a long time to really go and dive deep. And then guess what? I'm never going to ask myself those questions. So by having someone engage you in that, I mean, it brings all of those things to the forefront. I mean, and that's literally what she does, is she will dive deep into people's minds with them and figure out what are some of those things that perhaps they don't even know is going on, but through that quick conversation, that quick top of mind conversation, it comes up, and it almost means nothing to you, maybe the one that's speaking it, but to her, she'll pick up on that. She's like, oh gosh, you realize that could have led to all of these things in your life. And so let's try and put some energy towards clearing that right there, accepting that, clearing that, working with that, making that malleable so that we can go and achieve these things that we want to do and grow. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're someone that maybe you don't feel safe talking to other people about this, you could always try journaling, or you could try like putting yourself on, like having the questions and then reading out the questions out loud, and then just recording your phone, like putting a voice note. If you don't want to write, you can just record anything that comes up and then play back and see if there's any commonalities or anything that comes up when you ask yourself these types of questions. And this is just to understand what you believe about yourself at the subconscious level, because what we believe about ourselves subconsciously is typically a little different than what we think we believe about ourselves consciously. The subconscious is what's playing in the background and dictates our life. The conscious is the thoughts that we actually think. Okay. So I can think, oh, I can do this. I got this. I can do this. But subconsciously, I'm scared shitless.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't have this. The last time I tried to do this, I was embarrassed, or I was rejected when I went for something that I wanted on the playground in 8th grade. Right. So that could still be running the show. So it's important to get to that, again, getting to the root of that. All right. And that's where it can be helpful to work with someone else. You can journal, or you can try the voice recording.
And I like that voice recording. Actually, I'd never heard of that before, but it's a way that I could respond quickly to myself without trying to write something down, you know, as slow as I might write. It's going to be slower than as fast as I'm going to speak. And that way I can just get out my thought. And it could be just, really, it's trying to be just stream of consciousness, right? Like you do the stream of consciousness writing, but just speaking that out loud might be something there. And then listening to it, you can still listen with a critical ear, but that way you're not speaking through your conscious thoughts as much. So I like that. I would say that might be second only if you weren't open to speaking to someone knowledgeable, but just because, I mean, I'm obviously going to go and be like, hey, babe, what's going on with this right now? Like here. And you'd be like, well, here's some questions. What are you going here? And I'm like, oh, do we have to do this right now? And you're like, well, do you want this to be solved right now? Or do you want to deal with this for the rest of your life? And I'll say, okay, we'll do it right now. And then I'll answer, and they'd be like, well, it's probably from this thing. I'm like, wow, really? So it's very enlightening whenever you have anyone, you know, that you can always
cleared some big stuff for you over the last years. So.
Yeah. Some things that I've been holding on to for a long time. So I feel lighter from all of that. I feel more capable for all of that. But I love when she has some of her clients and she ends up helping them all out, just hearing their success story, hearing their results of the thing afterwards. I don't think she shares enough of all of those, of how it actually impacts people. So if you're watching this, by the way, and you're one of her clients, please reach out to me if you want. Like, I'd love to interview you about what you've actually done. I would learn something wonderful about her and how she's able to help people through the way that you explain it, right? That it's not necessarily in her voice, but so I would just be very curious to hear a lot more of those, because I mean, that's why we're all doing these types of things, you know, is just to help other people. And she loves breaking through barriers that people have. So
yeah. And the final one, Angel, definitely try it. And let us know if you do try it. Let us know how you feel.
Yeah.
So the final way to help yourself overcome imposter syndrome. And also, just a side note, if all of these are resonating with you, try them all. If only one is really sticking out to you, try one. There's no right or wrong here, okay? If one of them just really you're like, wow, that sounds like something I need to do it. If you hear 3 of them, you're like, oh my gosh, all of these sound like me. Do it, try it. Okay. It doesn't hurt to get to know yourself more.
So, and I don't want to interrupt you, but I do. So, so besides so you mentioned a bunch of different ways that people could end up doing it, journaling, going the voice and all that. What are those questions? Just so that we can reiterate some of those questions that you should be asking yourself.
Well, and people will have the replay to this, but some of the questions are like, what do I actually believe about myself?
In that moment.
Just
Or-
in general, what do I believe
Okay.
about myself? What do I believe I'm capable of? What do I believe is a possibility for me? Do I actually believe I can have what I desire? And if you're specific on something, do I believe I can have this? Do I believe I'm worthy of this? And just see like what comes up immediately.
should we ask what I am worthy of, or should we avoid saying what I'm not worthy of? Should we?
You don't want to ask questions that you don't want answers to. So
Oh.
I don't want to know if I don't think I'm worthy of something. Like I'm not going to say, what am I not worthy of?
Yeah. Okay.
Like I don't want to focus on that. It just
Fair.
feels contracting in the body.
Yeah.
So
All
if
right.
I want something, but it's just not happening, then I can go deeper into this. Okay, well, like, do I believe I'm worthy of having this? Do I believe it's a possibility for
Okay.
me? Am I the type of person that can experience this? And you'll be able to start to like unravel some of your core beliefs about yourself and your ability to have what you want. This is with love. This is with success. This is with health. It's with anything.
So really, I mean, if we already have our goals set out, then it's like, okay, ask yourself,
Yeah.
are you worthy of these goals? And if there's hesitation or you're feeling some contraction around that, that's probably a no.
Aw, Carolyn,
right?
that's
As
so
opposed to a light and a happy is a yes. Oh, Carolyn. Oh, you're so sweet. Look at that. Wow.
I know. I'm so emotional.
Yeah, she loves that, guys. Anyone here, thank you, Carolyn. Yeah, anyone who's worked with her and has done so, she loves you all, right? She puts her heart and her soul into this. So she really loves affecting people's lives. This is no joke for her. She takes it so seriously, and she's so empathetic with everything she does. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you again.
So the final way that you can help yourself overcome imposter syndrome is to see yourself on the other side of having what you want. So this would be, we're working with our imagination here. We're working with visualization techniques here. So you want to see yourself as that confident, empowered version of you, right? What does that version of you believe to be true? Okay. And we want to, what does that person feel about themselves? They feel confident. They feel empowered. They feel successful. They feel fulfilled. They feel grounded. They feel peaceful, right? They're not chasing that goal, feeling the imposter syndrome, but still trying to chase that goal. Okay. They're not separate from it. They are the embodiment of it. So we use our imagination. We use visualization to help assist our subconscious mind into believing this is me. The subconscious works with imagination. Okay. The subconscious does not know what's actually true, what's actually happening, what's happened in the past, what hasn't happened yet, what's not true. It only knows what you tell it. And what you tell it, or what you think about yourself, how you feel about yourself, and then what you imagine to be true for your life, and what you see and how you believe, how you think about yourself repeatedly. Okay. So we can use visualization as a tool to repeatedly remind ourselves, this is who I am, but not just seeing it. We want to feel it. We want to feel those feelings of confidence. We want to feel that empowerment. We want to feel whatever it is that you're going to feel on the other side of that goal, or how you think you're going to feel.
And this is something that we've talked about before.
Many times.
It's like that's how we get there. And as we feel that thing now. And that's the beauty of it, is why wait until you're all done to finally get this thing, to feel that? Because guess what? Once you've already gotten there, you're probably going to be the type of person that wants to get a little bit further, whatever that thing is. So you might have this like, ooh, I'm not even excited about my goal anymore because I've already achieved it. So when the hell were you excited about it then, if you were worrying about it the whole time? So guess what? Here's a rule. Always be excited about it, right? Be excited about who you are right now, what you've achieved today. Doesn't matter what little step it is, but get excited about tomorrow, that little thing that you can achieve. Like even before you go to the gym, be like, I'm going to be so much stronger afterwards. And how do you know you're stronger? Because you feel sore the next day, right? So you're getting stronger. Just the fact that you're going there, you're getting reps in with your mind to even make that connection to do next reps with your body. It's the same thing with your mind.
Yeah. And what I like to encourage people to do is to embed this specific practice into things that they're already doing throughout the day. So if you go for a walk, some people refer to them as like manifesting walks or visualization walks or walking meditations, whatever you want to call it, rock on, but just go for a walk, repeat to yourself what you want to believe to be true. See yourself, like play that mental mind movie as you walk. Listen to music that helps you feel the way that you want to feel. Right. So you can use your walk and you can stack those variables to do that. If in the morning you drink coffee. And as you drink, close your eyes and imagine yourself already living that life that you want to live. Maybe like I know before I met Zac, I wanted a relationship so bad. And I would imagine myself drinking coffee with my partner and just feeling like so at peace with my partner next to me, drinking coffee. And I would imagine that I would wake up, my partner would go make me coffee and bring it to me while I was sitting outside on the porch, journaling or meditating and stuff. And Zac makes me coffee damn near every morning. And so unless I wake up first. And so like this stuff really works. It's just giving ourselves the opportunities to bridge that energetic gap through using our own thoughts, emotions, and imagination. And this is like a synopsis of energetic alignment. We are literally aligning to that desired outcome. This will feel easier for some of us in some areas and a little more challenging in other areas, because in some areas we have a little bit more of an attachment to the result, or we have a little bit more resistance to it happening. And that's when we want to address with these other steps that I've given you throughout this. But you can try this one without doing any of the other ones as well.
Well, I don't know. Number one is accepting yourself.
Yeah, I mean, accepting yourself.
Accept that one. You got to do that, guys. You got, and your thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
Trust me, it works in relationships, guys. Gals. I mean, like, guys want to be, accepted too and listened to, and sometimes, could go off on crazy. So yeah, just accept all of yourself all the time. But, here's the thing about imposter syndrome is, I've paid for different mentorships and different masterminds, different groups like that. It's funny because I thought that, the one maybe that I paid the most for, people wouldn't have this type of problem. And so me walking into that group at a big conference, I felt the most amount of imposter syndrome because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm with all these high performing people, right? Yet it turns out that all those people that were in that room, that was the common theme that came up, is that they are all in this big growth type of mentality. So they are all pushing themselves, just like the person in a W-2 job that goes and gets the promotion. Guess what? They've never been in that position before, and they have to perform. And they have tomorrow to just get over that, right? Well, it's not going to happen probably. But that's the thing, is people that are in these bigger masterminds, they're not worried about how to do something or what specifically to do. They already have figured those little things out. So then the only thing that's really stopping them, they've realized, is their own mind at the end of the day. So once everything else is figured out, they got all the little systems and pieces. Now it's like, how can I really get this whole thing to get bigger? It's just their own mind, because whether you think you can or you can't, you are right in life. So people then realize that through whatever happens in their life, maybe they paid lots of money, whatever, but they get to that point. And I tell you, it's the more money in these different groups that I've been in, that's been a bigger and a bigger theme. And it's crazy. I thought it was going to be absolutely the opposite, but it's not. So don't worry, wherever you're at, everyone has imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Except narcissists. So feel good with that. And I hope you had some good techniques here that could help you through that. There's a bunch of different exercises that you could do as far as figuring out exactly what's happening inside of yourself. So that's the opportunity to learn more about yourself. And then whenever you figure that there's this little thing that is in there that's holding you back, you can say, okay, now I've identified that this is something else. And so probably that relates to one of our other 26 episodes of how to clear that thing out, right?
Yeah.
But it's not suppressing it. It's not pushing these things down, guys. We're evolving. We're getting a little bit better all the time. So don't worry. We're here with you. We're going to tell you you're perfectly normal. And everyone feels these ways, except narcissism. Heck yeah, Angel. It is. It is.
Mindset is everything.
It's so much.
We don't accomplish, like, it's not an end goal.
No.
It's a journey. It's an ever evolving, just ongoing journey of getting to know ourselves and refining that relationship with ourselves. And one thing that I think it's a little caught up or overlooked in the mindset movement is the emotional component, because our emotions feed our thoughts, and it's called the thinking feeling loop. And if we're not addressing the stored emotional energy, the thoughts, we're not actually getting to the root of the thought. We're just picking off the pricker. And so I think that that's something that everybody should keep in mind, is that our emotions feed our thoughts and our thoughts feed our emotions. And you can't have one without the other, because we think thoughts, we feel emotions about those thoughts. We feel emotions, we think thoughts that match the vibration of those emotions. But we have to understand that we never get to like a destination where we're like, oh, work's done,
right,
got here, that's it. But it is a continuously evolving journey. And the more that we can just enjoy that journey, which is preaching to the choir, the more that we can enjoy that journey, the more enjoyable life will be. Thus, the more expansive life will feel. Thus, the more fulfilling experience we're going to have.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And it's such a valid point. Emotions, accepting those emotional sides of things. Yeah, I would say that's not something that came naturally to me.
It's not easy. It's so much easier for us to jump into our head and to think things through. I mean, that's what we're told. What were you thinking? You didn't think things through. What do you think about this? We're rarely asked, what were you feeling in that moment? How does this feel for you right now? What are you feeling right now?
And it's funny because when I'm talking to anyone in real estate about something, I'm like, how do you feel about this? I specifically don't say, what do you think about this? Because I don't want them to start thinking. If it's a seller or whatever, it's someone that I'm talking to where they want to get to this end and I want them to get to this end. I'm like, what are you feeling right now? Because if you're feeling yes, then you're going to go there, right? Don't get over analyzing it in your head.
Things.
But if you're feeling no, there's no way that I'm going to be able to think you into a yes at the end of the day. So I really just want to understand what you are feeling. And yet I don't do that. I didn't do that even for myself and for you when you hit your head on this really, really immovable pole, guys. And it's an Arizona one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I used that movie for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, Angel. Heck yeah. So yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, because you will get different answers. You literally ask someone, what do you think about this? And they'll give you your answer. And then, well, what do you feel about that?
Immediately shooting their energy up into their mental space. So then we have ego, we have logic. Ego and logic, they create a logical life that makes sense. If we want to live extraordinary lives that don't really make sense how we got there, we cannot use our ego and logic to get there.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
But feelings will get us there because feelings are associated with the heart associated with our energy field, blah, blah, blah.
And when it's all nice and easy, it just attracts you right towards what you want. So it's just a happy life getting our goals.
All right, guys. This has been a fun one. So we will see you next week.
Boom.
Same time, same place. And if you dig this, then feel free to share, tag us. If you have any questions that come up throughout the week, feel free to message us. Anything that you would ever want us to cover, feel free to let us know. Anyone who is struggling that you see, who doesn't have necessarily a voice themselves or doesn't know about us, we'd love to just address it. I'm not going to say fix it. I'm not going to say this or that. It's just addressing it because it's accepting first. It's awareness. And then it's like, all right, now let's do some work, right? Yeah, I love it. Angel, I'm so glad that you got to hang out, and thank you. You're so sweet. We love you all. Have an awesome week ahead, and let's go crush it out there, getting our goals and overcoming our mindset issues. We can do better. So thank you. Thank you. All right, see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.